The night at the Estadio Martínez Valero carried a strange pressure before kickoff, the kind that settles deep in the air when the stakes are far greater than the table suggests. Elche arrived with their unbeaten home record still intact, a source of pride and tension woven together after 5 straight matches without a league win. The crowd pushed a restless energy toward the pitch, knowing full well that Real Madrid, under Xabi Alonso, were coming in with a fierce run of form. 10 wins in 12, heavy favorites, and yet strangely vulnerable in moments that had critics questioning whether the cracks were beginning to show. Madrid entered with the weight of expectation pressing on every step. Kylian Mbappe's presence was impossible to ignore. He stood at the front of the tunnel like a blade waiting to be drawn, the one player Elche feared most. Analysts all week had pointed to him as the likely difference maker, the one man capable of tearing apart even the most organized defense. And behind him stood Bellingham, full of poise and control, the engine Madrid needed to dictate the pace in a stadium that had swallowed visiting teams all season. Elche's strategy was clear from the opening whistle: press in controlled bursts, collapse the midfield, and make Madrid earn every inch of space. Their coach had spent the week speaking with rare conviction, insisting they could make history on this night. That confidence showed early as Elche refused to sit deep, choosing instead to test Madrid's shape and decision-making under pressure. Every transition felt dangerous, every clearance filled with the roar of supporters desperate to believe in something bigger than the odds. Madrid responded slowly, almost cautiously, as though feeling out the rhythm of a match that refused to settle. Their position carried the usual calm, but the breakthroughs lacked sharpness. Elche's backline moved with a stubborn synchronization that frustrated Mbappé on every early run. The more the minutes passed, the more the tension crept into Madrid's approach, and the more Elche dared to push further into the spaces left behind. The middle stages of the match shifted like a tightening vice. Madrid increased the pressure, pushing higher lines, stretching Elche's defense with wide patterns designed to isolate their fullbacks. Bellingham began to thread passes through narrow corridors, each one testing the mental edge of Elche's midfield. Yet Elche refused to bend. Their counters came in sudden bursts, carrying the spark of a team that knew one good moment could flip the entire balance of the night. As the pace rose, so did the psychological weight. Madrid's dominance in previous meetings hovered over the stadium like a shadow, but the longer the game stayed close, the more that pressure turned inward. Every missed chance added a quiet ripple of doubt. Every heavy first touch from a Madrid forward earned a wave of belief from the home crowd. Even Mbappé felt the strain, drawing markers but finding no clear opening to punish. That tension reached its peak in the final phase, when both teams stared down the possibility that a single mistake could decide everything. Madrid pushed with urgency, their midfield tiring from the constant effort to unlock Elche's defensive core. The hosts still unbeaten at home sensed the historic opportunity. One goal, one moment was all that stood between them, and a night their supporters would remember for years. By the closing minutes, both sides were living in the razor-thin space between victory and collapse. Elche fought for every clearance, every tackle, every breath of space. Madrid pressed for a winner with the desperation of a giant unwilling to drop points in a title race where every match mattered. The intensity felt absolute, the noise overwhelming, and the emotion on the pitch raw enough to shake even the most composed players. Whatever the final score, the match delivered the kind of tension that defines seasons. Elche standing firm in the face of overwhelming power, Madrid battling to impose their identity under a manager whose tactical choices were being scrutinized more than ever. It was a night of pressure, defiance, and emotional weight, an encounter where every second carried meaning and where both teams walked the edge until the very end.